map to rush. A very common game to, or a very common map to rush on. So what exactly happened?
Well, okay, so I'm going to start with the end first. I completely intended to make a tech lab, and, like, I made a reactor.
Like, just straight up?
I think that's one of the most standard Terran openings, to just go, like, double Hellion on the factory, and then to just get the reactor on the barracks. So if there is a roach rush, you have Marauders out, and you can deal with it pretty much no problem. And I remember I saw the roaches coming, and I just kept thinking, man, this tech lab sure is taking a long time to build. I get back to my base, and there's a reactor there, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to make Marines. They evaporate in like 5 seconds, right? So that was like one of the worst possible feelings, because, I mean, I'm not going to lie. My keyboard hand is great. I have a really smooth, calm, excellent keyboard hand that always hits what I want, and I'm just like, yeah. And occasionally my mouse hand gets a little shaky, but I mean, my keyboard hand is amazing. So this means that I confidently did the dumbest thing possible, and I have no explanation for why.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that you didn't even catch it at all.
Going into that, what'd you say?
I'm just saying it was unfortunate that it did fully finish. You weren't even able to, you know, cancel it and make another one. So definitely you can't do a whole lot with SCVs, Marines, and Hellions against roaches.
Yeah, especially when you don't have your ramp walled. Well, okay, so, I mean, one of the reasons why it, like, got finished is because you hit a point where when you do something, you just assume that it happened correctly, and you just mentally cross it off. And I actually think that that's, like, the right way to go about things. Like, I wouldn't, you know, want to keep checking that reactor. Because, I mean, there's no real purpose to it. I just know when it's supposed to be finished, and I should go back and build the Marauder then. Except when I kept going back, I was like, well, it's still finishing. I guess time is slowing, because I'm really focused now against my brother. But it's kind of funny, because, I mean, when the game started and I got Terran, I was like, oh, thank God, because Terran's, like, my best, I think, you know? And then Nick was Zerg, and I was like, yes! I'm playing against a Zerg player on Steps of War. I know exactly how to win this game. And then he just went ahead and roach rushed me and won immediately. And, you know, to be honest, like, I think that his response was quite brilliant, because, I mean, 99% of Zerg players, they see that factory opening that Terran's doing, it's completely standard, and they'll get a Roach Warren reasonably quickly just to block their ramp, and then they'll go ahead and expand relatively safely. But if you rush very quickly for roaches, the way that my brother did, not only do you get to block the ramp with roaches, which is, you know, what happened in that game. I tried to counterattack and it didn't work. But also you have the opportunity to put a ton of pressure back on the Terran. You get to attack him. And you note that I built a command center there, so I wouldn't have gotten to lift that quite immediately. So, you know, I would have made an orbital command, and I would have just hung out with some Marauders. But hit that C button to build a reactor instead of the X button to build a tech lab. So he better beat White Raw now.
Yeah, so what do you think his chances against, I call him the Terminator, I don't think anyone else does. What do you think his chances are against the classic White Raw?
Oh, easily 100%, man. Nick's got this.
Oh, yeah, so 2-0, no problem. Going to advance to the round of 4 and probably take the whole thing.
Sounds pretty good to me.
So, just one last question. Do you think you would have been, I mean, you sound pretty confident if you would have made the correct add-on. Do you think you would have been in a good position? You think your opener was still pretty solid against those fast roaches?
I mean, it's definitely solid against fast-ish roaches. I think I would have had a little bit of trouble. I maybe would have had to throw down some SCVs, but I think I would have been okay at the very least. It would have been even. Because, I mean, he did have to sack quite a few drones in order to get those roaches out early on. And, you know, if I had to delay my expansion, then, you know, it's all even again, and it's not the biggest deal.
All right, cool.
Sean, I've actually got something working here, so I can actually talk to you. Do you feel like... because I called this out in the game, but I might be wrong, do you feel like if you had placed your command center, because you lift your racks off and you backed it off and left that kind of opening for the roaches to come in, do you think that maybe placing the command center at the at that location would have been better, or maybe that wouldn't have made a difference and your SE off it just fine?
Yeah, I mean, at that point there were really two choices I had. Moving the command center all the way north, I'm not the biggest fan of, because, you know, I don't like wearing a huge sign on my head that says, "Hey, I'm really expanding," you know. So I prefer just to build it back, but I do agree that if I had had a wall in, I think I would have been okay. So, for instance, if I didn't make the tech lab, I could have just or let me rephrase this, if I saw the roaches coming, I could have opted not to make the tech lab and hung out behind my my factory and defend with Hellions, because they do outrange the roaches, and then I just would have been able to repair the wall in, because the factory and the barracks are so big, the roaches can't quite shoot things that easily, and plus they cluster really tightly at that ramp. So I definitely think that just completing the wall off and relying on Hellions would have been solid, and then I just could have went straight for Banshees or something like that.
So are you going to be rooting for your brother for the rest of this tournament then?
Well, of course, man. He's my brother, dude. I don't wish horrible things upon him.
That's awesome. All right, so I think that concludes the round of 16. I want to thank Sean Plott for coming on in here and giving us this awesome analysis as always. And if you guys are ever interested in learning more about StarCraft 2 beyond just entertaining commentary, definitely do tune in to the Day 9 Daily, which is held how often, Day 9?
Every day.
Every day.
It
Right.
does live up to the name.
But I do tournament cast then, so, you know, pretty much every day.
All right,
Right?
so
And it's livestream.com/StriderDoom.
all right, yeah, definitely
Yeah.
go check that out, guys. So that is going to be it. Thank you for tuning in to the live stream, or I guess you stream, either way. And thanks again to Sean, even for still talking to me after I kind of had an identity crisis between him and his brother last time. But yeah, huge thanks to everyone. And please go check out our sponsor, guys. This stuff isn't possible without them. I'm having a blast. I hope you guys are as well. If there is any major problems, please leave the feedback in the Team Liquid thread. Believe it or not, we do read all those messages, and so we're trying to make this as good as we possibly can. I mean, there is limits to what we can do, but we are having a blast. Cannot wait for the round of 8. Do stay tuned to our YouTube channels, of course, for the updates, and we will we'll let you know when we have our next live stream lined up. And so round of 8 is just around the corner. I cannot wait. A huge thanks to everyone who's participated, all the fans out there, and that is all I have to say. I need to go to work here before they fire me.